Part 3 to my Get Better at Shotgun tutorial. Want to learn how to flick like this? How about moving this clean with a shotgun? Today I'll be talking about how to flick and, just the usual. How to become a better shotgunner in CODM, plus understanding your sensitivity. We'll be showcasing and teaching everything I know, and for those who've been interested in playing similar to me. Let's get down into it. First, we're gonna hop into my settings and sensitivity. As you can see, I use speed acceleration, which works well for me since I've been using it for a long time. Since it also aligns perfectly with my style of playing, I'll get down into why soon enough. I've tried the others. Nothing wrong with fixed or distance acceleration. Speed acceleration just works best for me. I'll explain my sensitivity. Here I got my speed acceleration at the 69 mark. Speed acceleration increases your turning speed based on how quick you swipe your screen. I got many variations of swipes I perform when playing, whether it's long, short, or if I should swipe fast or slow. But I understand my sensitivity just enough, since I developed the muscle memory over time to do this as I watched others and taught myself. Here I will highlight some important sensitivities that helped me to achieve my style of using a shotgun and to also get this good at it. I'll explain how they work and helped me on my journey. I keep my third person around 78. Constantly changed it a lot in the past. 78 for me feels decent enough. Finding a sensitivity, I just kept increasing it by 1 or 2 each time, and if it felt too fast, then I'll decrease it, or I'll increase it if it feels too slow. Vice versa. What I'll do is test it out in the training grounds, and if it's comfortable enough, I'll keep it. Same thing I did for my speed acceleration. Before it was at 80, but it was too fast, so I kept decreasing it by either 1 or 2. Each time I would decrease, I'll go back to training to check for any differences. Onto my ADS and red dot sensitivity. Same thing I mentioned earlier, like I said, I would just increase or decrease it depending on how it felt. It was around 112 back then, but I noticed I couldn't flick fast enough whenever I ADS. Went into the training grounds and I started to put 2 and 2 together on how I'll attempt to fix such an issue. Now that's when I considered bumping it up to 124, which made my ADS flicks much more quicker, stylish and cool. Even though I think I'll increase it some more. Do the same thing for your firing sensitivity. Next, let's talk about the vertical sensitivity. This right here is what adds a lot of extra sauce to my gameplay, so you gotta know how to properly tune this one. I achieved faster flicks vertically, plus I am able to move and not look stiff. Look, if I decreased it from 112 to 100, you'll see a major difference. Am now slower and I look less fluid. Also not able to flick as fast as I would want to vertically. So I kept increasing it. Took it from 100 to 108, then stopped at 112. Think I might increase it some more. Then there's my sniper sensitivity. I don't snipe much at all. I still don't have a dedicated sniper sensitivity at the moment, so I don't recommend copying mine. Let's move on. Here's how my HUD looks. I try to place my buttons properly in places I feel comfortable so I don't feel hindered when playing. Also, I have this much space for my swiping thumb to work perfectly. Now, I'll speak on the flicks I do. I'm able to do it whenever I quickscope or hip fire. That is how my sensitivity, HUD, and basic settings help me to perform whenever I am using a shotgun. My speed acceleration also plays a huge part, because depending on the position of the enemy, I'll know the kind of pace in which I'll need to swipe by to flick my shot at them. Here's a demonstration. I'll see an enemy and know exactly where he is, but my cursor isn't on him at all. Now, with all the confidence I got in my sensitivity and settings, I'll attempt to pull off a flick shot. Not all the time am successful at it, but the more you practice and keep doing it, the better you'll get. I'll perform this slow, as you can see on my hand cam. Since I know the position of the enemy and my aim isn't on him, I'll quickly swipe my screen into the direction he's in, and the split second my aim is on him, I'll fire. Here I managed to hit these shots, and since I use speed acceleration, the turning of my screen relied on how fast I moved my thumb. On my end, I could flick at any pace I want to, since I use speed acceleration. The more you practice your flicks, the better you get at it. No glaze, but I could close my eyes and do it. But as long as I already seen where my enemy is, well, since I have years of experience. Another thing I do is I'll calculate the amount of distance or pace I'll need to go by when I swipe to get my shot in. I fail a lot of times, but I also hit my shots a lot, 'cause I'm not some kind of god who can't miss at all. Enemy number 1 here. Watch as I swipe my screen and my cursor will move towards him, and I'll quickly tap my shoot button the second I glimpse him inside my aim. Next up is, how do I shake my screen? What it does is just to help my gameplay and vids look good. Well, for me at least, and I guess the people who might like it. When I increased my vertical sensitivity, my screen shakes got a little better. They didn't look stiff anymore. But if you want to recreate my screen shaking, most of the times I do it whenever I hit a shot in a certain angle or moment. Most of my screen shaking whenever I'm not fighting anyone happens due to the short swipes I make. These short swipes help me to keep my fingers active so they don't get lazy. Let's talk about my HUD. To master movements in this game, you should have a dedicated HUD fitted for that exact purpose, similar to mine's. My jump and slide buttons are all on the same side as my shoot button. Now I can tap back and forth between these 3 buttons with my left index finger and not experience any hindering. For example, like trying to reach for a button that's out of range. Now you lost a fight because you took too long to tap it. Made sure my swiping area is clear in game to avoid any buttons getting in the way. It's best to experiment with your HUD and button placements till you feel comfortable. And if something needs changing, don't hesitate to. Well, 'cause you don't want to be playing terrible forever. I did this with my joystick placement. Kept moving it around and experimenting till it felt comfortable enough where I have it currently. Some basic settings. I recommend turning these off. I will be sharing a little bit on my playstyle. I don't always swipe fast in my fights. Sometimes I go at any pace. Like here, I moved in quick here, but as you can see, I slowed down a bit because I wanted to align my aim perfectly on him. Think I'll wrap this up right here. I greatly appreciate the support this gets. I hope my demonstrations helped with what I didn't mention in this tutorial, and let me know if there's anything you need help with.